Hi. Let's see if I've got anybody on yet. I do. Okay, good. I still feel like I don't know how to use this totally well. So, as usual, we're going to wait until 3 after, and then we'll get started. And I'm using a new little thing. I'll show you what it is. I got it off of Etsy, and it's like this little holder that you can put your phone in, and then it has little holes for like lip sense and product and stuff. And I know this looks like a really random place to do a video. I have really good natural lighting here from a north-facing window, so it's like where I always do my videos. So, random tidbit. Look for north-facing windows. And this little selfie holder thing is free.
You can put my mommy here.
Let me mute everybody real quick. Okay, so I'm just going to mute everybody real quick so we don't have much background noise. But if you need to unmute yourself to ask a question, go right ahead and just be sure to mute yourself when you're done talking. I don't have a little here with me today, but I have my dog. So if the FedEx guy rings the doorbell, it'll be crazy for a minute. All right, so 2 minutes. Oh, here, y'all will enjoy this. So here's my life. My daughter has like a huge toy hoard right here. And I have 7,000 pillows on my bed that get pushed off to the side. So there are a combination of animals and pillows that make up the entire part of this room between the bed and the windows. So don't feel bad about yourself if your house is a disaster, because this is how we live. Oh, I even have a housekeeper. I have somebody who comes and helps me like organize, and I'm still a mess. Some people just can't be helped. Sorry, I'm fixing my little stand. It wasn't level when I put it up, and it's making my OCD hurt. All right. All right. So 1:03, and we'll get started so people have a chance to join. Let me see how many people we've got on so far. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, about a half a dozen so far. That's awesome. Okay, so it's 3 after. We're going to go ahead and get started because I'm going to post the recording later and people can catch up if they need to. But I want to talk about sponsoring because I see a lot of people sponsoring really successfully, but then some people just can't like kind of get into sponsoring. And I actually have never found sponsoring super difficult, but in looking back and then talking to some of my first downs about what encouraged them to sign up, I figured out some of the things that I was doing that made it a little easier for me to sponsor people. So the first thing is, if you come into this expecting to work it like a business and you know you want to sponsor and you're treating sponsoring kind of like a chore or a business task, sometimes you can kind of end up in the wrong mindset. Because the way I started sponsoring was actually pretty unintentionally, and it just turns out I was doing some of the right things naturally. So the first person who signed up under me was just a couple of days after I signed up, and I had zero intention of working this business outside of expecting to do like maybe a few orders for my friends and family. They were obviously really excited about the product. I had a good Facebook hostess party, so I signed up off of that, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do like a few orders. Everybody will get what they want, and they can basically fund me to get everything I want. But I hadn't really thought at all about sponsoring, and I hadn't really thought at all about really ongoing business practices. But one thing I did do was I was really excited. Like, I was having so much fun with this business, and it was unexpected fun. And if you're familiar with my personal life, I mean, it's really challenging. There's a lot of really, I don't know if the right word is negative, but really challenging, difficult things going on in my life. So it was like such a fun escape for me. So I posted a lot about how much fun I was having. And I also posted a lot of gratitude about everybody who was ordering. Like, if we had a great party and people ordered $1,500 worth of stuff, I like took a picture of myself one day with like all of my packing supplies set out. Like I was literally sitting in my closet back here with like pink bubble mailers and all of this product. And at the time we had Fast Start, I had some free products there. And I just took a picture of myself like, guys, thank you so much. This is a real shining spot in my life right now. And it is all the girly goodness, and I couldn't do it without your trust. Like, you bought this stuff because you trust my opinion, and I really appreciate you. So I kind of inadvertently ended up planning a lot of sponsoring seeds, because when people sign up for this business, in my opinion, they're kind of looking for two things. They're looking to, one, maybe pay some bills and get some extra money coming in, and two, have fun. So it has to look like fun, because it is. Like, I have a blast. I get to do this full time now. Do you know what a blessing that is? It is awesome. It is so much fun. Even with the stressful and the challenging parts, it's great. So I think that sponsoring out of incitement was really how I sponsored most of my teammates right off the bat, because they saw me doing something that was fun, that was fulfilling, and that was successful. Like, what more could you want? And it didn't really matter, dollars and cents wise, how much I was taking home. Nobody even asked me that. They just were like, hey, look, she's having fun. She's making some money. Mostly at the time, I was spending it all on free products. So I would show them, like, here are the 6 lip colors I'm sending out for y'all, and here are the 6 lip colors I bought for myself. Yay, thank you, stuff like that. So I wasn't even really pocketing a lot of money at the time, because I was buying myself the entire line, which I did. I have all of it. So I think that the first thing you want to do is to share your excitement, share your gratitude, and share your success really genuinely. And you want to be sure that it comes off in a way that's not like, you don't want to like put things in people's faces, right? Like, oh, well, I sold all this stuff, and make it like snotty or competitive or anything like that, which is why when I share my success, I also share it alongside super sincere, genuine gratitude, because my business wouldn't be what it was if people weren't buying from me and signing up for me because they trusted me, because they made a decision to trust me. So sponsoring out of excitement, a lot of those folks that I sponsored out of excitement I would like plant seeds in my Facebook group with those kinds of posts and things. And then the next time they made a purchase from me, I'm like, hey girl, have you thought about signing up for a wholesale account? And, a lot of the times the conversation kind of went like, yeah, I see you. You look like you're having a lot of fun. I've kind of thought about it, but, it just sounds, like I don't have time. And there was usually some kind of objection wrapped up in it. So they would say something along the lines of, yeah, I had considered it. It looks like a lot of fun, but, and then there's some kind of objection there. And usually it was about time, about money, about, I don't really know if I have a big enough network. I don't really know if I can make this work. Really any kind of that stuff. So that's when I like to keep things really simple when I'm sponsoring people. So I plant a lot of seeds in Facebook, and I do want to like kind of raise my hand and say, don't worry if you're making posts to Facebook and you're not getting like, hey, who wants to join my team? And like nobody's commenting on that. Generally, they're not going to. I have found that posts on Facebook, at least as far as sponsoring goes, don't normally result in an immediate reaction. But it's just like planting seeds in people's brains. Like, they're mulling it over, and then it's up to you to bring it up the next time they, make a purchase, the next time you talk together, when somebody congratulates you on your business. They're like, hey girl, I'm so glad it's going well for you. And you're like, yeah, have you thought about doing it? I think you'd be great at it. It's a lot of fun. And just start those conversations with people, and be mindful to start those conversations with people. So when I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, yeah, I've kind of considered it, but, whatever that but is, it kind of doesn't really matter for the most part. I just tell them like, well, it's pretty easy to sign up. It's $55 a year. It's like a Costco membership. Worst case scenario, you can use it for a personal discount. And best case scenario, something happens. You know what I mean? Like, what's the harm? Like, the time is going to pass anyways. You might as well just try it out, and I'll help you. And so, they may ask me some more specific questions about discounts or commissions or whatever. I honestly just tell them what the cost is to sign up, that they get a wholesale membership. I may tell them you always get 20% off, up to 50% off, and I don't worry about telling them about PV or discount tiers or whatever. And if they ask about discount tiers, I just say, yeah, it's a wholesale business. So any wholesale business is going to have a higher discount based on the size of the order. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I don't even know that in those initial conversations, I even really break down for them what the discounts are. I just think that because I tend to talk in PV and that doesn't translate to them, like I try not to have that conversation because I just confuse people. So after that, once they're like, okay, I think I'm going to do it. That's when we have the conversation about the LipSense Hunger Games, and I tell them, how I'm going to manage it. And me as an upline, I help them with a little box of colors for their launch, and I tell them, I'm like, LipSense is crazy. It's completely blown up. There is like no colors in stock today. I think maybe there's one. It's called Cocoa. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you out with some colors for your launch. Those will be the only colors available for your launch. We're going to hype it up. We're going to let your customers know how hot this product is. And then I'm going to send you what you sold in your launch party. And then you're going to replace those for me when something I need comes in. So I make it clear that they're going to have to get their lightning phones ready and that they're going to need to try to order through the LipSense Hunger Games, and they're going to need to try to order when something I need comes in. I have 20 blue red right now. I cannot accept any more blue red in trades. Like I just cannot do it. I have a business to run here. So I'm really honest with people up front. But there's a difference between like being honest with somebody and overwhelming them with tons of information. Because I think what we tend to worry about sometimes is like, oh no, well, what if I don't tell them about the 45-day cancellation policy? And what if I don't tell them about the buyback? And that's okay. They get a distributor agreement before they sign up. They should read it. If they don't read it, that's kind of not your problem, right? And that may be something that you want to, I always like to try to address with them is like, hey, when you go to sign up, please read the distributor agreement. Let me know if you have questions. And then if they go ahead and skip it, they go ahead and skip it. And then when they come back later and they're like, well, I didn't know about this, that, or the other. And you're like, it was in the distributor agreement I asked you to read. Because this is a big thing. You are not responsible for memorizing the distributor agreement. You're not responsible for memorizing the product guide. You're not responsible for memorizing the lookbook. You're not responsible for regurgitating all of that to people who sign up underneath you. You are responsible for knowing what resources are available and then connecting people you sponsor to those resources directly, and then being there to answer like questions that they can't find answers to. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So I'm going to back up for just a second and talk about, planting seeds around your excitement, how much fun you're having, gratitude, sharing your success in a genuine way that's like really relatable to your customers. Like instead of being like, yeah, I pocketed $400 on this, it's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I got to make my car payment this month with LipSense sales. That's nuts. It's so exciting. In making that thing something that's relatable for them without like throwing out dollar figures and things that can be a little bit of a turnoff. So you sponsor out of excitement. And when you're sponsoring out of excitement, you still have to do your part. So you're going to plant seeds on Facebook, but rarely, if ever, is anybody actually going to say, hey girl, I saw that post you made on Facebook and I want to sign up. That's generally not how my conversations go. I usually post like things on Facebook and I plant a lot of seeds. And then at like Thursday at 11 p.m., somebody will message me like, hey girl, I've been meaning to message you. I think I want to sign up for LipSense. I mean, I've had girls message me at 11 o'clock at night that haven't even tried it. And they're like, yeah, I think I want to sign up. Can we talk tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, girl, sure. So I don't want you to get down on yourself if you're posting things and not seeing people reach out to you. And then you do have to do your part. So when you're interacting with people that are your customers, that are buying from you, even people that have bought from you in the past, and maybe you're just having a random conversation and they make a comment about your business and you're like, yeah, I love it. Why haven't you signed up yet? Just start a conversation. Just ask them, what's holding them back. Some people may be like, I have zero interest whatsoever in doing a direct sales business. I'm like, yeah, girl, neither did I. That's turned out crazy. So what's going on this weekend? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to dwell on it. It's not for everybody. But a lot of times when you ask people that in a very direct way, like, hey, have you thought about this? It's a lot of fun. and they provide you some feedback, you kind of know where to go from there. Maybe there's some interest there. And a lot of times what I found is they're like, yeah, I have thought about it. You look like you're having a lot of fun, but I don't have time, money, all of these different things. So generally I'll offer them something back just to chew on. I'm like, yeah, if you would have told me that I could hold down 2 jobs while being a single mom, going to Oklahoma City every single weekend, having a full-time day job, having all these things going on in my personal life, I would have laughed in your face. And yet somehow I made it better, and I made it through, and my life is better for it. Just something for you to consider. And then I just let them go with that and let them mull over it. A lot of times they're like, yeah, you are really busy. And you did make that happen, but I'm not like you. Whatever that is, just kind of, manage that conversation. So you have to do both things, though. You have to plant seeds and get people thinking about it, and then you have to ask them about it, because a lot of times they won't just come to you. And sometimes they will. And when they do come to you, when you start having that sponsoring conversation with them, offer them a little bit of information and then find out what else they need to know. Don't throw everything at them. There are some really great little graphics that are running around with like the discount structure, and you have 3 ways to make money. I'm going to be honest, I almost never send those out. It's just a lot of information. I think it's more information than most of my people need to make a decision. I'm like, yeah, it's $55 a year. Your discount is based on the amount that you're ordering every month. And it's always 20% up to 50%. And you make just the retail profit. So like you're a store, you buy it at wholesale, and then you sell it at retail, and then you just keep the difference. And you can keep the difference and buy more product, or you can keep the difference and buy yourself a Kendra Scott neck dress. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. And I really do keep it that simple. So one of the things that you can do when you receive a message from somebody who's inquiring about signing up is they say, hey, I'm interested in signing up. Can you tell me more? And then you say back something like, heck yes, girl. I could talk about this all day long. What do you want to know? And, if they want to know what the discount structure is, give them the discount structure. If they want to know what the commission structure is, tell them that. If they want to know what the cancellation policy is, tell them that. But don't throw the whole world at them, because then they're going to get stuck in these details, and like our minds are weird. They start like creating objections, and Satan comes in and tries to steal things from us and just tells us all the reasons why this is not good and we shouldn't do this. So I tend to just like offer them exactly what they've asked for. And then like, okay, what's next? Do you want to schedule a party? And then one of the things that has also worked for me is I get a lot of objections around, okay, so me personally, I have a big social media network. I have a lot of friends on social media. My business is all, obviously been, pretty successful. I have a big personality. I communicate with people a lot on Facebook. And so people will look at it and they're like, well, I'm not you, so I don't think I can be successful at this. So I even kind of offer them a trial run. I'm like, hey, girl, I totally understand. I know that it can be a little scary venturing off in, kind of into the deep end like this. And if you're feeling like a little bit like awkward about it, how about we do this? I'll do a Facebook party for you. We'll do it just like you're a hostess. Like, oh, my girlfriend Kristen, I love this magic lipstick, and I'm going to help you do everything for a Facebook party. And then if it goes well, you can sign up and place that order and replace colors for me. And if it doesn't work out like you wanted to, I'll just fill the orders. It's no big deal. And they're like, okay, I can do that. And then what I make clear to them is that the way that people use social media is different. So if they have a party that does not go well, it is not because people don't like them. It is because people just use social media differently, and everybody's crowd is different. So I give them that reassurance right up front that if their party is a little less than what we want it to be, that it's not anything that they should take like personally, or that they're going to feel bad or embarrassed or ashamed about. And I just take that away up front, and I just tell them everybody uses social media differently. Everybody's friends group is different. Everybody's family's group is different. There's a different dynamic with every set of people. If it doesn't work out like we want it to, don't take it personally. I see it happen all the time. Like, you are loved, or else you wouldn't have all of these friends. So I like to take that away up front and help people like, okay, you know what, I can do this. And that fear of failure or fear of being embarrassed gets addressed up front. And then you don't like get halfway through a party that maybe is a little rough. We've all had them. And your person is like, oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I feel really bad. I'm so sorry you're wasting your time on this. You know, you kind of lay some groundwork for the people who, you know, may not excel. That's like okay. And so I really like doing that with people because that's going to happen sometimes. And what I don't want them to get to the end of their party and have a sense of like embarrassment or rejection. I just make it more about like Facebook and social media and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want it to be about them at all. So that's a really good way when you get the objection of people who are like, I don't think I have a strong enough social network to do this. I don't think I have enough friends who would be interested. I don't think I'm going to be good at this. I think I'm going to fail. And so I just kind of like take that back from them. Like if we fail, it is because of Facebook, not because of you and your value. Like that's super important for people to understand going into it. So what else do I do? All right. So say someone has bit. You've provided them just the right amount of info. And if they are a super info person, by all means, send them the cute graphics, point them to go read the distributor agreement, you know, provide them resources where they can, you know, research it. And then you need to follow up with them because if you provide them information that they need to like review and read and kind of think over, and then you're like, ooh, I hope she calls me back. You just don't know. Like, you don't know. Are they going to get busy? Maybe. My life's kind of busy. I forget to do things all the time. Like, I write things down and I still forget to do them. Or I look at my list and I'm like, that doesn't have to be done today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then it goes on the tomorrow list that stays there for 6 months and makes me crazy. So you need to follow up with people. If they ask you for information, you provide them information back and they didn't make a decision then, you've got to contact them back. Hey girl, I was just looking at my calendar. I have got an opening for a launch party next Thursday. Do you want to do it? I think we should. It's going to be fun. And then see what they say, right? So go back to them, like give them a date. You know, I don't love like the whole, hey girl, yeah, let me know. And then you never follow up with them because it's hard to pull the trigger on something like this. Like think of how hard it was for you to pull the trigger. You need to like help them get there. And you need to do your diligence and follow up with them if you've provided them information. All right, so now they've bit and they're like, okay, I'm going to sign up. I'm worried, I'm nervous, I don't know what I'm doing. You're gonna have to help me a lot, but let's do it. And you're like, okay, great. So the first thing you're gonna do is go into back office, sign up, get your distributor ID. You're gonna look at the order page. There are going to be no products there at all. And you are gonna think, well, that's strange. And then this is when you have the LipSense Hunger Games conversation. I am so honest about it. Like I'm totally honest about it. I present it in a positive way because for me, it is a huge positive that our products are like, in the world of MLM, do you kind of always feel like people who are doing direct sales are kind of like begging you to buy their stuff all the time, like begging you to give it a shot and the risk-free trials and doing all the things? Yeah, well, this MLM, people are banging down my door because they know I carry inventory and they can't get my product anywhere else. Like, it's like the exact opposite of any other MLM I have ever seen out there. And I make sure they know about that, right? Because high demand is a really good thing. Like, we don't have products sitting on a shelf getting dusty. So I present it that way to them. I tell them how hard it is. I tell them how funny it is. I tell them about my LipSense Hunger Game memes. I tell them that they're going to want to pitch their computer through a window, but that when they finally get their hands on those 10 colors, they are going to be so freaking excited they can't contain themselves. So I lay all that groundwork. And then the next thing that I do is I talk to them about training. So the first thing that I encourage all of my folks to do is to sit down after the kids are in bed, pour you a glass of wine or an iced tea, and click every single tab in back office. Read it all, get familiar. You will find a ton of things in there that you would otherwise have no idea where they are and it will save you so much time knowing where things are instead of asking me and then waiting for me to respond to you. Because I do a lot of live training, I'm out and about all the time, I may not be able to respond to you right away, and you will be so frustrated if you realize you could have had an answer in 2 seconds by clicking on back office and instead waited 2 hours for me to respond to you, and then you had to move on to something else because you didn't have time to wait 2 hours for me. So number one thing, new distributors need to go through and click every tab in back office. They need to read their distributor agreement. They need to open up their new distributor kit. They need to read the lookbook. They need to look at the materials that are in there. They need to become familiar with those things. If an NDK still has fast start information on it, you may just want to call attention. Hey girl, you know that pop-up when you tried to sign up, it said that our fast start thing wasn't available right now? Yeah, we had a bunch of people cheating the system on that, so we don't have that fast start thing available with the free products, but it's not holding any of my girls back. Don't worry about that, but you may see something about it in your new distributor kit. So that's kind of like a good little mental note to make so that they aren't calling you like, I'm so excited, I'm going to earn all these free products. And you're like, ooh, but that pop-up was there for a reason before you ever signed up, to make sure that you realize that that program was abused for a long time and we had to close it down. But we had all of these materials already printed, and it may be back someday, but I don't know. It's just not available right now. So I'll have that conversation with them. I tell them to go through their back office and to really look at their new distributor kit. I don't want to like bag on anybody, especially if any of my first line is on here and you may think, ooh, that was me. But if you're asking me questions that are in the new distributor kit that are easily locatable in your back office, I'm not going to give you the answer, like ever. I'm going to tell you where to go find the answer and say, hey girl, did you read that new distributor kit that I told you to look at? It's awesome. Go dig it out right now. Go grab your lookbook. And I know that kind of feels a little mean and that might be a teeny bit controversial, but the most important thing about sponsoring is that it's not only duplicatable for you, so you can have 40 people on your first line like me, but so that it's duplicatable for them. Like if they feel like they're gonna have to field 7,000 questions and know everything there is to know about LipSense, SeneGence, our policies, our procedures, our ingredients, our product, before they can sponsor somebody successfully, like who wants to sponsor if you're responsible for all of that? So it may come off like a little harsh at first when I heavily tell people like, here's a resource I provided you, go here. I think it may be on like page 6 or something. Sorry, girl, I'm in the car. You know, like I just point them back to where to find it. And then they come to me less and less with those types of questions. It's not that I don't want them to reach out to me, but I want to talk about like strategy. I want to talk about motivation. I want to encourage you when things are going tough. Like I want to have conversations that you are not going to get out of back office or my training videos. Like those are the things that I want to have a discussion with people about, because those are a really good use of both of our time. But what is not a good use of my time is telling people the ingredients in gloss. That is a terrible use of my time. They can find that themselves. And I expect them to find that themselves because they own a business. I am not their manager. I am not their mother. They don't work for me. They are my equal. They are my partner. This is my business partner. So there are support functions that I perform as a sponsor and as a crown princess, but that is a supportive role. It is not a managerial role. They own their business. And that's something I really like to impress upon people early on, that they need to take the initiative to own their business for multiple reasons. So the first one, like I told you, was it's not duplicatable to me. I cannot regurgitate back office product knowledge, all of my 22 trading videos to all 40 people. That's not duplicatable. I can't sponsor 40 people if I have to spend my time doing that. But the second thing is they can't sponsor people if that's their expectation. Like they're going to feel totally unequipped to sponsor people because they can't do all of that. Nobody can do all of that. So that's really important. Then the third thing is that they need to be building credibility and ownership for their business. For people to buy makeup from me, they want me to be credible. They want to be able to take advice from me. If I tell them, hey girl, I would love to make a suggestion for a lip color for you, they want to feel like, oh, well, that's a great idea because Kristen is more knowledgeable about makeup than I am. I don't know that much about makeup. I just slap it on my face. 6 months ago, I thought 2 eyeshadows was fancy. I still only wear 2 eyeshadows. I cannot even figure out the whole blending thing. It's like a whole ordeal. But because I have taken the time to really educate myself, share that information with people. I generate my own content. And even if I pull cute graphics and things from Cinegraphics, I always share it with my own personal opinion, with my own language, with my own personality. And that's what you really want to encourage your downlines to do, because they are not going to be able to establish themselves as an authority if you're doing all the work, if you're doing all the posting, if you're answering all the questions, if you're PMing all of their customers. Like, they need to do that, because they are not the authority if they don't. You're there to help and support them, but rather than answering their customers, how about you send your downline the answer or where to find the answer, and then prompt them to respond to their customer, because those are things that are going to build authority and ownership of their business. And that's really, really important. Like, I can't stress that enough. And even looking back at my sponsorship experience, before I had any idea what I was doing, I was sponsoring people. Like, they want to know more about it. I'd tell them what the discount was, give them my ID, and I'm like, good luck, girl. Let me know if you need me. I mean, I don't even think I was doing launch parties for most people. A lot of them, they were just doing it themselves. And, out of my first batch of people that I sponsored like that I kind of barely helped because I didn't know what I was doing either. I have a crown princess, a princess in waiting, a duchess. Like, I have all of these people on my front line who just made it their own. They dug in because I didn't know anything either. So I don't want anybody to feel like if you sponsor somebody that their success is going to be based on your knowledge or what you provide them. Because honestly, I didn't provide people very much when they signed up underneath me in the beginning of my business, and they have excelled. They fought through it, they figured it out, and they really owned their own businesses because they had to, and they wanted it, and they made it work. And I think sometimes you almost cripple yourselves by taking too much ownership of what's going on with your downlines, because it makes you doubt yourself when your downlines aren't having the same type of success that you are. And it makes them believe that they can't do it without you. And they can. Jessica, Melissa, Stephanie, Mandy, like all of these people kill it. And I provided them next to nothing. So look for duplicatable things. Like, I sat down and made all of those training videos for you guys, and I pretty much walk my new distributors through those videos. Like, here's the first video I want you to watch. Let me know if you have questions. Okay, have you seen it? Great. Here's the second video I want you to watch, because that's duplicatable for me. I can onboard 4 people this month because I can provide them all of my videos. You can onboard 4 people this month because you can use my videos. That's totally fine. They don't have to be your videos. If you grow into a place in your business when you're a crown princess and you want to provide videos for your dominion to use, knock yourself out, girl. If you're a royal in waiting and you want to create videos for yourself and your downlines to use, go for it. Until then, use mine. Like, I did that not only for me because it's duplicatable, but I did it for you because it's duplicatable. And don't be afraid to point people back to the video. When they say they watched the video and then they ask you a question 3 times that was in the video, you're like, hey girl, did you watch that video? Let me shoot you the link again. It's a really good one. I think maybe some things didn't click. Try it again. Like, and you may, they may not love that answer. I actually had one of my sweet new downlines message me one day, be like, I'm afraid to ask you a question because I'm sure it's in a video, but I need to ask. And I was like, it's in a video. I'm going to give you the answer because I know where we're at right now. But I think that she was probably taking it pretty personally that I kept referring her back to the videos, because honestly, that's what's duplicatable for us both. And it may come off a little controversial, and these are all my opinions. So if you're like babying your downlines through every question, I'm not coming down on you or anything. I'm just telling you what's worked for me and like why it's worked for me, so you can consider that as an option for you and for your downlines. And then, lastly, like, what you're responsible for is connecting them to enough resources and information to get their business started and to understand where to go when they need certain types of information. Like, this is the type of information you can find in these videos. This is the type of information that's in your distributor agreement. This is the type of information that's in your lookbook. This is the type of information that's in your new distributor kit. Like, connect them to those things. Be there for moral support. Check in with them. I'm not completely sold that you have to do the launches for every downline. I think Stephanie did her own launch. I think Jessica did her own Facebook launch, and I did an in-home demo with her because she has a really tight group of neighborhood friends, and she wanted to do an in-home demo. Melissa, I think we did a Facebook party, and then she decided to sign up off the Facebook party. I think Mandy probably did her own completely from scratch. Yeah, so I think it's important that you explain to people how to do a launch party, that you give them videos, that you help them find content, that you help them set that up for success, that you participate in their launch party, that you post selfies, that you show your support, that you answer their questions, within reason, like we've discussed. But I don't even know that I'm completely sold that you have to do their Facebook party for them. And the reason that I'm not sold on that is because Facebook. Facebook, if you have a group and you have your friend and it's all of her friends and family in there, when they see a post from their friend, they're likely to click on that. When they see a post from a stranger, that's you, they're not likely to post on that. So I actually think that Facebook parties are more successful when they're run primarily by the person that you've onboarded. Some people find that a little overwhelming at first. I'm flexible. Especially if somebody is not really sure what they're doing and they want to do a hostess party first and then maybe sign up, I'm going to run that 100%. But for people who are like, yeah, I'd like to do this. What do I do for my launch party? I will actually start out with them like, okay, this is the kind of post that you want to do. This is like the timing. This is what I'll provide to you. And then if they're like, gosh, I don't know if I can do all that, then we might back into me, using my tiny torch or whatever. But for the most part, they're going to be more successful if they own that themselves. And then they're going to be more confident when somebody else wants to have a Facebook party and sign up and all that good stuff. So I am kind of like 6 one way, half a dozen the other on you being the primary role in their launch. But I am 100% that you need to be supportive during their launch and help them answer questions from their customers. Maybe not you responding directly to the customer, but like helping them figure out how to answer the question and then them responding and things like that. Helping with color matches, color suggestions, things like that. That's supporting them is more important than you launching them per se. And then what's not expected of you is to, like I said, regurgitate all of these resources, be a dumping ground. If you have a larger organization and people are contacting you every day to gripe at you about things that are completely out of your control that you're dealing with too, you can set some boundaries. I've set some boundaries with people. I've let them know, like, hey, girl, there's really nothing that I can do about that. And I totally feel you and I understand your frustration, but I have 1,200 people in this organization and I can't have this conversation with everybody. And I really just encourage you to work on your own perception rather than dumping on me along with 50 other people this week or this month. And I know that's a little bit of an awkward conversation because I don't want anybody to think I'm a bitch at all, but because I really genuinely care about everybody, but there's like only so much of other people's negativity that I can take on. And it's important for people to realize that you are not their dumping ground and that you are entitled to have boundaries about what you can and can't be for that person. So I really want y'all to recognize that so that you can feel like a successful sponsor, even when, things may be going a little rough for people that you've sponsored. So, let's see. So I've been chattering my little brains out for 40 minutes. I'm going to flip over to the chat real quick and see if I've got any questions while I knock my phone over. Chat. Okay, so I don't see any questions yet. If you want to take yourself off mute and ask a question live, you can, or you're welcome to type it into the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself. And I can take some questions about sponsoring, how to sponsor, what to do once you've sponsored somebody, your responsibilities, specific things you've run into and you just didn't know how to deal with it. Like, I'm happy to talk about that too. Mostly I'm just happy to stop talking for a second. All right, nothing popping up in the chat so far, so I'll give it about 1 more minute to take
Kristen,
questions.
can you hear me?
Hey, now I can.
Hi. This is
Hey.
Aurelia. I had a question on, I have, I think like 8 downline, but I can only get like 2 of them to sell. So what's like a good ratio to those that actually have this as a business versus those that use it as a personal discount, but really don't right now because of the stock issue?
Yeah, so I think that I can't really put a number to it because let me think about this for a second. I've got about 40, and I think about half of them ordered last month, about 20. And I think that that's probably a pretty good ratio considering, our inventory levels and things right now. But a lot of those people started before inventory issues and they had some inventory to carry them through, or they were far enough in their business where they kind of saw the writing on the wall and were able to stock up a little bit more. So my ratio is going to be a little higher than somebody who started out brand new. I think my first piece of feedback is like it's impossible to make somebody want to do something that they don't really want to do. So I think that for people who are not actively selling because they just kind of don't want to fool with it, it feels like too much, ensuring that they stay in a relationship with you, like following up with them. And by following up with them, I don't mean, hey girl, how's your business going? What's going on with your lip scents? When was the last time you placed an order? That kind of stuff. It's more like, hey girl, what's going on in your life? I haven't talked to you in a while. Just curious, like really check in on them as a human being. And I found that there have been times where I've just checked in on them as a human being and they've been like, man, I really want to get my lip sense restarted, but I'm totally overwhelmed by the stock situation. What do I do? And then I brainstorm with them some ideas. Again, do the whole honesty thing. And then I may offer a little extra help, like, hey, sign up for these text message alerts. They'll tell you when to get online. And if you really want to get some colors in, go ahead and log into your back office at the beginning of the day and have your product list open so you can just refresh it when you get that text message. And then if I get a text message about colors being in, I might text them and be like, hey girl, I know you were interested in relaunching your business. I saw some colors coming. You might want to hop on it. So I might baby them along a little bit, but mostly it's maintaining that relationship because it is a really hard time to come into the business. And if they aren't seeing enough to get them excited, with the successes that are happening, that I want to maintain that relationship with them. So that way, when I've got 10 colors in for more than 2 or 3 days in a row, I'm going to go back to them and be like, hey girl, the Lip Sense Fairies have dropped 10 colors. They've been there for 3 days. I think now's the time for you to get your business started. And I actually have a list of inactive distributors in my phone, or not necessarily inactive like they've gone their whole 6 months, but like people who I know just aren't really working their business very much because they're too overwhelmed by high demand, that I'm going to follow up with. And that first time that we had 10 colors that's sitting there for more than 2 days, I'm going to contact all those people. So I know what you're probably looking for is how do I get these people engaged in selling today? And if they've already made kind of a personal decision that the circus is not for them, it's going to be a little harder. But maintaining open lines of communication with them will help you if they change their mind. Because as they're in your customer group, they're probably in your customer group because they used to be your customer, and they're in our team pages. And eventually they're going to see people, enough people earning cars, earning trips, earning, leaving their jobs and do thing where they're going to be like, ugh, okay, maybe it's worth it. I want to do this. So maintaining that open line of communication with them and that relationship will help you when they get there mentally. Let's see. So Hannah, you said, what do you do about the 3-month warning email? I shoot them a Facebook message or let me think of this as a Facebook message or like a text. I try not to do an email. I try to just contact them directly and say, hey girl, you probably saw that 3-month warning email. You're about halfway through the period that you need to place 100 PV. You want me to text you if some colors come in? And then I'll kind of baby them through that a little bit, and I'll try to remember to text them if if some colors come in. I also have like a chat, like a thread on Facebook Messenger for my first line, and I text them before I post in my group normally when a bunch of colors drop. So if they're in my first line and they either have not muted or left that chat, they're probably going to get a little bit of an advanced heads up on colors and things like that, so they'll know to jump in if they want to. If you're asking about what about that relaunch or front colors, If they've gone 3 months and they haven't done anything, I could totally offer them a relaunch and print some colors if I have them and if they seem committed to doing it. I'm not going to pull teeth and offer colors during high demand if I don't think that they're really interested in doing it, because I've got to kind of protect my own investment and my own hoarder tendencies at this point. So I would say if you reach out to them and they're like, yeah, man, I am really wanting to get back in, but I have no idea how to do this at this point. I don't have a single color in my hand. I don't have money to buy 300 PV before I place an order. If they're motivated, I'll front them some colors if I've got them to spare. I'm happy to do that. But I'm not going to pull teeth either, because what I don't want to do is send, help them do this great party and then have them, be like, oh, well, that was great, but I'm just going to keep that money for myself. I'm not going to buy any stock with it. I'm just going to replace yours and call it a day. Interested in joining? So what's the conversation like with that? When I have somebody tell me, hey, I'm kind of interested in signing up, I'm like, awesome. I could talk about this all day. What do you want to know? And then I provide them with exactly what they've asked me for and try to keep it really simple. And then I say, okay, great. I have 3 launches this month. I have room for 1 more. How does the last week of the month work for you? Thursdays and Sundays work best for me. So Leslie, if you've got some people like hanging out there who have expressed interest, I would go ahead and offer them a date to partner with them on their launch party. And then just see what they say. They're either going to pick a date or they're going to be like, oh, I'm really not ready, or I decided not to sign up, or I have more questions or whatever. But offering them a date for their launch party is going to solicit a response. They're going to respond somehow, and then you'll know what way to take it. I say don't beat around the bush. You've got a valuable job opportunity. I don't really worry about scaring people off because I don't do high pressure anything. I just try to move them to the next step. If they're interested, the next step is signing up and having a launch party. So I'm like, okay, great. Let's do your launch party. How's Thursday the 20th? And then take it from there. I would actually do that. If you've got people who are just like hanging out there in the ether, message them today and be like, hey, I'm working on my calendar for this month. It's the first week of the month. I want to make sure I don't miss you if you want to launch. How's Thursday the 18th? And just see what happens. Like, it can't hurt. What's next? Yeah, so getting a discount for personal use is great. It's not generally where I go right now because they're probably not going to sign into back office at Thursday at 2 p.m. and get to buy whatever color they want to. So when I'm talking to them and they love our products, I'm like, girl, why don't you just sell this? You can buy stuff for yourself. I'll front you some colors for your launch, Lip Sense Hunger Games, all of that. And I'll let you pick out a color from my stock for yourself. I'll help you, I'll help you know when to order and things like that. Like, I am not huge on personal discount right now because most people's expectation of going in for a personal discount is that they're going to be able to just log in and buy whatever they want with a discount, and that's just not the world we live in right at the moment. So I talk about it more as an opportunity, like, hey, girl, why don't you sell this? I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's a little crazy, but it's a great time. I think you'd be great at it because you love it. What else y'all got? So I'm going to make a note for anybody who's thinking about duplicatable business practices and you're thinking to yourself, I could never get on a live video and do a training like this because I don't know all this stuff. I don't know how to answer all these questions. I get too nervous. I talk, I do all these things. I'm going to tell you right now that I feel like I'm forgetting to breathe and my heart is racing, and there's like 6 of you out there. Like, I have no idea why I feel this way. Maybe it's just I talk too fast or something. But if you think that you can't get in front and train people, you can, because I can, even though my heart is racing and my throat feels like it's closing up. So that's awesome. What else do y'all have? All right. Well, I don't see anything coming into the chat. We'll wrap it up about 10 minutes early. I will post a link to this in the comments of the thread with the 1 hour reminder. so anybody who didn't make it can see it. And then I will actually like update the post to say that the link to the call is in the comments so people can see it later. And if you know teammates that you haven't tagged yet, you can tag them in it so they can watch the replay. And I usually have the replay link within about the next 10 minutes or so. I'm really glad y'all came today and listened, and hopefully don't think I'm super mean now because I'm like the world's meanest sponsor. I'm like terrible. And thank you for asking great questions, and I will talk to you again at our next call. Bye, guys.